Oh, I didn't see you there. Greetings. Welcome. I'm Scott. You're in the Prog Corner. And today we're talking about a brand new album from a great band, Crippled Black Phoenix. Look at that album cover. It's called Banefyre. It's their 12th album. And these guys are just awesome. So I thought I'd do a little album review of their new record because I am of a belief that this might just be their very best record they've done so far. They just had a nice little 3-page spread in Prog magazine. Look at the pictures of them. So it's a 5-piece. You've got 3 guys and 2 girls in the band. The leader of the band is a dude named Justin Greaves. He is, in fact, the only member of the band that's been with them from the beginning. He is joined by his partner and vocalist, Belinda Cordick. She's been with the band off and on pretty much since like 2012. So she's been singing with them on their last 6 or 7 albums. And then they've got a brand new male singer, Joel Segerstedt, who's also from Sweden. And then there's 2 other members. You've got Helen Stanley on keyboards, Andy Taylor on guitar. They've been with the band for the last couple records. It's a weird band in that every single album you've got a whole different lineup, but I think he's found something really special with this 5-piece. It sounds amazing, and the album is great. It is their longest album. This thing is like 97 minutes long. Should it be that long or not? Well, we're going to get into that a little bit, but who are they? What do these guys sound like? Well, they've been called the new Pink Floyd, which is why I'm wearing a Pink Floyd shirt today, I guess. But I don't buy that. I hear a lot more post-rock in their sound. Mogwai is a band that's been connected with them. They got help early on from Portishead, but these guys aren't trip-hop at all. I'd say Explosions in the Sky, maybe a little Godspeed You Black Emperor, a little bit of gothic stuff thrown in there. I hear a little Susie and the Banshees, maybe Disintegration Era, The Cure, but they throw all this stuff into a big giant pot and stir it around, and what you get is Banefyre. It is a old English word for bonfire. And like usual, Crippled Black Phoenix is all about the disenfranchised, the downtrodden, those who are, the have-nots of the world, if you were, the voiceless. And this album is no exception. This is not a concept album, but all these tracks do kind of link up in a dark, gloomy kind of atmosphere that Justin Greaves loves to inhabit. He was originally from the stoner rock scene, the doom rock scene. He was in a band called Electric Wizard. He was in a band called Iron Monkey. So you do hear a lot of that doom and stoner stuff. In fact, almost every single passage on this album is in a minor key. So it does give you that real dark, depressing, moody kind of feel. But this is a great headphone record. It's mixed really, really well. And Justin Greaves is back on drums. I guess the last few albums he had a drummer in the band, but it's kind of cool hearing the leader of the band actually doing the drums, kind of like Evership, where the leader of the band is the drummer also. This album starts with a little incantation, recitation by a guy by the name of, what's his name? I don't even know what his name, but he's the Satanist kind of guy. Shane Bugby. I knew I had it written down somewhere. He's a Satanist and a poet, so the album starts with a little satanic incantation that starts off, Steve Jobs told us to think different. And that guy didn't warn us that thinking different, being different, living different, loving different could get us killed. And it does get us killed, and it goes on from there. And then it segues into the actual first track, which is called Witches and Bastards. It's the best song on the album. It's incredible. It tells the tale of a girl who's falling into witchcraft, as it were. The imagery of the Salem witch trials definitely plays a big role in this album, not only in terms of the musical content, but the fact that it was mixed by Kurt Ballou of the great band Converge at his studios in Salem, Massachusetts. So now we get to this first song, Witches and Bastards, and this girl, Eliza McLean, she's in dance, she sways and moves, gives thanks to the somber lit moon. Little does she know they're coming to purge her soul. I guess in the end, she decides, she prefers the company of animals in the woods, and people back in town didn't like it. So they burn her at the stake. Isn't that what you do to people that you disagree with? Just burn them alive. Absolutely. We're in that place now as a society anyway. So why not go back to the 1600s and start burning witches? Although, as it turns out, I found out that not a single witch was burned in Salem. They had other ways of killing them, I guess. The next song up is called Ghostland, and it's all like a chanted, weird, like a dark hymn for a satanic church being chanted in Swedish. I guess it translates to "In eternity we wander aimlessly, infinity without rest," just over and over. But it's so dark and dismal and scary. I just absolutely love it. The next song is called Reckoning, and this is the first time that the new singer Joel gets a turn. He sounds terrific. This is a song about fox hunting. Justin Greaves is from the UK, so he's obviously really turned off by this barbaric practice. The song starts with the call to hunt, and you get a bugle, then you hear a shotgun loading and unloading, discharging its deadly munitions into the hopeless and helpless body of a little fox. It's disgusting, but it goes out... It's got some really cool stuff in here. The time has come to pay the price for the cruelty that's been going on for years. The hunt will take a new turn because now the rules have changed. Out in the woods under the moon, shining eyes, they will soon attack. As the midnight hour is here, it's time for retaliation. So I guess the foxes turn around and get their revenge on the hunters. Next up is kind of a quasi title track called Banefyre. This is sung by Belinda, and here she sounds a lot like Susie, but actually it kind of reminds me of a band called Curve. I don't know if you remember that Flood produced album called Doppelganger they released back in the day. Kind of reminds me of that a little bit. It's a short track, like only 4 minutes, kind of up tempo. It's great. But we've been in a minor key this whole way. Finally, we get a little bit of respite in the beginning of the 13-minute long Rose of Jericho. Starts out in a major key, and then it all kind of breaks down and falls apart. Then it comes back in a new key with a new riff, and of course in a minor key. It's just a really great track. I really like it a lot. Next up is one of the cooler tracks on there called Blackout 77. It's about the New York City blackout that took place, and there's like news broadcasts and stuff like that are brought to the bear, and it's cool because it's one of those songs where the key signature is actually being disguised a little bit, and that we're in a modal type of harmony. It's either Dorian or Mixolydian. I don't know what it is. I don't feel like putting on my music theory hat right now, but it's just really, really great. And then the bridge of the song, you actually get a little bit of major key, and as a result, it's just so powerful and wonderful. It's a really great track. Next up is another long one, 10-minute long song called Down the Rabbit Hole. Belinda sings this, and it's kind of a slow, dirge-like song. But then finally, in the last couple minutes, you get this huge, enormous, rousing, amazing chorus, almost like an Arcade Fire might give you. Oh, it's just a real great moment on the album. That's followed up by a song called Everything is Beautiful But Us, another song Belinda sings. It's good, but we start losing a little bit of momentum here on the album. It is definitely a front-loaded record. That Everything is Beautiful But Us segues right into The Pilgrim, that Joel sings that, and it's good. But where's the greatness on the second half of the album? Well, I don't think there is much greatness on the second half of the album, to be honest with you, but the next song is probably the best in that second half, and that is I'm Okay, Just Not All Right, which is a great little mantra that is repeated throughout the song by Belinda. It's actually kind of catchy. And then you get The Scene is a False Prophet, which is the last song on the album proper. It's the longest song. It's 15 minutes long. So, the last two songs on this album are like 25 minutes long, but this final song, The Scene is a False Prophet, it actually takes bits and pieces of Simon and Garfunkel's The Sound of Silence. It starts out, "Hello, punk rock, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again. I had a vision while I was dreaming, black spider legs gently creeping." Yeah, so they took a little liberties with the lyrics there. And then later on in the song, you also hear a little snippet from Celine Dion, which is kind of bizarre and weird, and it really seems out of place, but it's a cool track, but it just seems to go on a bit too long. Most of these longer tracks on the album are a bit too long. Down the Rabbit Hole, this one, The Rose of Jericho, all of which could have been trimmed down a little bit. None of them needed to be 10 minutes or over. But then on the deluxe version, they end with a final song called No Regrets, and it's kind of like an extreme metal track with death growls. Avoid it at all costs. It's terrible. Doesn't need to be there. I was really hoping it would bookend the album with something up tempo and memorable, but that's just not the case. Anyway, so who are these guys? Why do I love them so much? Is it Prog? I don't know. I don't care. But I've been listening to this album quite a bit. I really, really do like it. I've been a fan of these guys for a while. I got turned on to them with an album called I Vigilante, which came out in 2010. And then I went back and investigated some of their other stuff. But I think that album, another one in 2012 called Mankind the Crafty Ape, and this one, those would be the three albums that I enjoy the most from Crippled Black Phoenix. So if you want to check them out, I'd say start with this one. Even though it's 97 minutes long, strap in, get yourself a couple comfortable pillows, get yourself an adult beverage or whatever, and put those good headphones on. You are not going to regret spending an hour and a half with this record. It's really cool. So how am I going to score this thing? Well, those first 5 or 6 songs on this album, I was thinking, this might be a perfect score. But as the record went on, it's a little long. Some of the longer tracks don't go where they need to go quick enough. So I'm going to take a full headphone off this score. I'm giving it 4 headphones. It deserves it. It needs to be heard. It's doing quite well on Prog Archive's Top 100 for 2022. I think it's ranking somewhere like in 25 or 26th place. But it's really cool. Check it out. If you like Pink Floyd, if you like bands like Mogwai and Explosions in the Sky and that kind of post-rock thing, if you want to kind of combine goth, post-rock, and prog, put it all together, you got Crippled Black Phoenix, and it's just terrific. I really enjoy it. Anyway, I am going to be reviewing the new album from the Pixies next. Thanks to you guys. That was the poll question a couple days ago, and you answered pretty dramatically, and there can be no doubts about which one you want me to do. So it's going to be the Pixies. It's a good record, so I'm gonna review that next. But anyway, you guys are the best. I love you, and I'm just gonna get back to reading about Kate Bush here for a minute. Yeah, the 40 greatest songs from Kate Bush. Why not? Maybe I'll do a video about that next. Who knows? I love you guys. Have a